What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Hope you are all doing very well. I want to talk today about Survival Hunter and sort of some advanced mechanics that you can use to help amplify your damage, make sure that you're min-maxing your damage as much as possible. One of the best things about World of Warcraft, and one of the things I think that people don't talk about very much, is how different all of the specs and classes play, in particular ones that are the same type. So melee specs. For example, something like a Windwalker Monk versus a Survival Hunter, they play completely differently, and there's little mini games that you have to be playing in order to maximize the damage that you're doing with that character. For Windwalker Monk, for example, if you're running the Touch of Death build, you have to be really conscious of the health thresholds of the enemies that you're killing. You have to make sure that as you're lowering the health of the enemies, you want to make sure you can get 2 Touch of Deaths off so that they can both cleave, and you don't want to mess it up, so you only get 1 Touch of Death. If you can get that double Touch of Death off, it does so much damage for you. And so that's a little mini game that you have to play as a Windwalker Monk, and that exists for every single character, and it makes like playing different characters, even if they're all melee characters, it makes playing them incredibly fun and incredibly different, because I'm not just playing another melee, I'm playing a Survival Hunter or a Windwalker Monk or an Enhancement Shaman, and they have different playstyles, different things that I'm thinking about when it comes to the playstyle. So I'm going to talk about the Survival Hunter, little advanced mechanics that you can work on to increase your damage as a Survival Hunter. There's some really important things to make sure that you're looking out for. So let me just dive right into the video. I'm not even going to talk too much about the talents because it's more about the gameplay. We're just going to dive right in and talk about the gameplay here in this Oldemon that I did. So the first thing I want to talk about is, of course, Serpent Stinging on pole, and this is much more relevant. Sorry, I'm going to jump back here. This is much more relevant if you're using Hydra's Bite, which I am always using at this point. I know Poison Injection can be really good on Tyrannical Weeks, and definitely this is a good talent to take on Tyrannical Weeks if you want to. I really just like Hydra's Bite. One important thing to understand about Hydra's Bite is that your Serpent Stings, as you can see right here at the beginning of this clip, if the enemies you're attacking have not been engaged in combat yet, i.e. if the tank hasn't drawn aggro from those enemies yet, your Serpent Sting will only fire off once. Even if you have the extra Hydra's Bite that says you get 2 more Serpent Stings, if the enemies are not in combat yet, you'll only get 1 Serpent Sting, so you're kind of wasting that talent. What you need to do is engage the enemies first, then fire off a Serpent Sting, or watch the tank throw his Avenger's Shield and it bounces around and it gets all those enemies in combat first. Then your Serpent Sting will register that the enemies are in combat, and it will fire off 3 Serpent Stings instead of 1. I only got 1 Serpent Sting here, even though I'm running Hydra's Bite. Watch the next cast of Serpent Sting that I fire off here. It fires multiple because these enemies are already in combat. So just remember, try not to make it maybe the very first button that you press. Maybe press Harpoon plus Kill Command, then press Serpent Sting once you get in there. Or if the tank has pulled aggro already, then you're more than welcome to press Serpent Sting, and it will give you the cleave effect. Just a little tiny detail about taking Hydra's Bite is you want to make sure the enemies are in combat first. The next thing I want to talk about is your big AoE combo. This revolves around you pressing Explosive Shot into Death Chakram into your Fury of the Eagle. Those are the main 3. What you want to do, though, is make sure that you press Explosive Shot first. So I'm running in here. I'm spreading my Serpent Stings out, getting lots of damage out. I'm doing like 60k just on Serpent Sting. I'm going to press Explosive Shot first, then I'm going to press Death Chakram. Remember, Death Chakram gives you the 10% extra damage taken from enemies. So what you want to do is maximize the uptime that you have with Death Chakram on the enemies. So you want to Explosive Shot first, because it's not going to detonate right away. Explosive Shot first, then Death Chakram. Then the Explosive Shot detonation will be within the Death Chakram damage buff, and then you can maximize the rest of your damage that you're doing, okay? So here I'm going to press Explosive Shot right now. There's my Explosive Shot. It's on the middle enemy. It's also very important that you put it on the central enemy. Don't put it on some fringe enemy that's going to jump away. You have to really be thinking about this. Put it on a central enemy that's going to be standing still for the most part. Then I throw Death Chakram. Now Death Chakram's going out. You can see Explosive Shot hasn't detonated yet. Then I'm going to press Fury of the Eagle. I did my trinket into Fury of the Eagle, and you can see our damage is crazy. This is with an Augvoker, so my damage is going to be about, you know, let's pretend it's 220k or 230k instead of 320k. But the bottom line is that's how you want to pull off that combo. Jump in with your Serpent Stings, spread them around, do your Explosive Shot, then do your Death Chakram so that the Explosive Shot lands in the Death Chakram window, then do Fury of the Eagle so that it's also in the Death Chakram window. That's your big AoE combo. Then you're throwing bombs, you're pressing Butchery, you're doing your kill command to get the tier set bonus damage. That's all very important. That's how you kind of want to do that. Talking about Wildfire bombs, it's very important to understand that Wildfire bombs go out in a cone. It's in a cone-like effect. So, as you just saw right here, I end up pressing... Oh, give me 1 second here. There we go. I end up throwing my Wildfire bomb here, and it misses this guy. You can see the green bomb effect above these 3 portraits, and it missed this guy over here. That's insane. He's really, really close, but he's not close enough because there's a cone going on here from my character. What you need to be really mindful of when you're throwing Wildfire bomb is the cone that's going off to make sure that the enemies are standing within that cone. It's not like a big AoE. It doesn't go very wide, but it does go actually fairly far, and it goes in a cone. Watch this. Right here, I'm focused on this enemy. This is a bad enemy for me to be focused on because the way where my bombs are going to go is behind these enemies. I throw my bomb. You can see the bomb animation over there. It somehow clips this front guy and this guy, but it doesn't clip this third Geomancer. He was right next to the other two, but it's because of where my camera is aiming. That's where the bombs are going to go. And again, it's in a long cone in front of my character. So I'm going to get stunned here. Be very careful about when you're throwing your bombs. Make sure that the enemies are all lined. This is perfect here. I've got them all lined up here. This is perfect. I'm throwing a bomb here, and you can see it catches all these enemies right here. That's how you want to line it up. Be careful about engaging enemies in a really wide area. You want enemies to be kind of chunked together in front of you in a long line. Single file line. Look, I got everybody with the bombs here. Now we're really popping off with all the bombs. So just keep that in mind for the bomb radius. And same with Fury of the Eagle. Make sure that you line up Fury of the Eagle as well as you can, okay? That's the end of that boss. We're going back to the first boss here. Here's a great example of how to continue to do damage. By the way, you can basically help take care of all the incorporals. It's really important to be able to continue to do damage as a survival hunter from range. So right here, these bosses are jumping up into their boat. I'm doing damage in melee. You want to stay in melee as much as humanly possible. But as a survival hunter, you have a lot of tools for getting out of melee and still doing damage. You can see I'm backing off the enemies here. This guy's no longer in range. This guy's no longer in range of my melee attacks. This swift guy is still in range, but I can still do damage from range. You have lots and lots of abilities that are still capable of doing damage from range, even if you have to respect the mechanics of the fight. Your Wildfire Bomb, your Serpent Sting. Here's another ability that's about to hit the ground. I have to back up here. My Death Chakram, I can throw that from range. I can Serpent Sting from range. I can Kill Shot from range. I can Explosive Shot from range. Once again, I'm forced to back up here so that I don't hurt anybody else with this circle. So these two guys are out of my range now. Olaf and then the guy in the back. Eric's still in range, but the point is I can still do lots of damage even though I'm forced to jump out of range there. It's not a problem at all for Survival Hunter. This is what's really wonderful about this spec. It's kind of a mid-range spec. It isn't really just a melee spec, and people complain, oh, they made Hunter into a melee spec. It's really not. You have tons and tons of ranged abilities that give you some versatility when you're on the field. And that's really one of the best parts about it. I really love that. So make sure you're utilizing your ranged abilities so that you can get all your damage out and you can still respect the boss mechanics, which is really, really nice. Let me jump to 9:15 here. I want to talk about one last thing. Here we go. So there's something really cool here with Spiteful in particular. This week you can see this Spiteful is all red. So he's on me, and then there's a little symbol above my head as well. Again, talking about using your ranged abilities, I still want to hurt this enemy right here. So I can keep hurting this enemy while I'm backpedaling, and I'm avoiding the Spiteful. I'm not getting hit by Spiteful. I'm using my ranged abilities. And then at the last second, I'm going to Harpoon past this Spiteful, and he's not even going to auto-attack me. Boom. I just jumped right past him. He still didn't hit me. Now he's stuck back there trying to get me. This is a really important skill you can develop this for this particular week. Any week that has Spiteful, you can do tons and tons of damage, and you can jump past the Spitefuls with Harpoon, and they don't have time to like wind up an auto attack to hit you. And you can also use Tar Trap as a means of slowing them down. You can see I Tar Trap right there, and that allows me to keep doing damage to this enemy while the Spitefuls, the shade, kind of runs out of time. But the main thing that you really want to do is use your ranged abilities to the fullest extent, and then also Harpoon past the Spitefuls, and you'll be good to go. You won't even have a problem. You won't even get auto attacks at all. It's the best way that you can dodge the damage coming out of the Spitefuls. So that's all the little extra tips I wanted to talk about today, guys. There's a lot of ways you can improve your damage as a survival hunter. The big AoE combo, you want to make sure you're throwing out your explosive shot first into a death chakram, into that Fury of the Eagle. Make sure you're maximizing that damage. Make sure that your explosive shot is on a central enemy so that they're not running off into Timbuktu and your explosive shot is detonating over there. That's really, really bad as well. Make sure you don't do that. Make sure you're using Harpoon and Disengage to get away from Spitefuls, and then you can charge back in once you've lured the Spiteful out of range. Make sure you're using all of your ranged abilities to maximize the damage. You've got Wildfire Bomb, you've got Kill Shot, you have Explosive Shot, Death Chakram, you have Fury of the Eagle is kind of range, but realistically it's more of a melee thing. But 80% of your kit is range. Kill Command, you have so many abilities here that you can use to help keep yourself safe from mechanics while also continuing to do lots and lots of damage. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure that you're utilizing the skills that you have as a hunter to do as much damage as you possibly can, and your numbers will go up. Okay, thank you so much again for watching, guys. Let me know what you think in those comments down below. I love you all. I will see you in the next one.